Are you getting confused about what are the right affirmations? What are magic affirmations? Do certain affirmations work better than others, etc., etc.? We're going to talk about affirmations in this video. Hey legends, this is I Am Manifestation. I'm your conscious manifestation coach, Cerise, and I help you get out of your own way so you can manifest your version of an awesome fucking life. Before we get into the topic of today's video, if anything in this video lands, clears anything up for you, is helpful in any way, it would be much appreciated if you would show me that by liking, sharing, commenting, and or subscribing. It just helps push my videos out to more people so I can help as many people as possible on a free platform. And it's your interactions with my videos and my channel that pleases the algorithm and makes that possible. Thank you so much. So affirmations. I don't know about you guys, but I am so over scrolling on TikTok and seeing this magic affirmation will make your dreams come true or something along those lines. Okay, so let's talk about it. Is there any such thing as a magic affirmation? Not a general one, not a general one that works for everybody. Now, why is this? Affirmations are just focused thoughts. There's nothing magic about an affirmation in itself. It's more about finding what works best for you. And how do you do that? Well, what feels the most natural for you to say or think? Or script for that matter, what feels the most empowering or at the very least resistant for you to say? Are you saying your affirmations in the way that you would speak conversationally? How you would talk to a friend if someone were asking about your situation that you're manifesting were in its ideal state. How would you respond to a friend who's asking about that situation? And the reason this is the best way to go about your affirmations is because that is what's most familiar to your mind. Your mind is most familiar to hearing how you talk naturally about your world, your experience. And so when you talk about your manifestation as if it is the way you would want it to be, your mind is going to buy into it a little bit more easily when it's in the way that you would naturally speak. So there's no, abracadabra, one size fits all affirmation for everyone. If you think a thought long enough, affirm something long enough, eventually it will become natural to you. But if you want to, and I know you all do, because everyone wants their manifestations like fucking yesterday, if you want to get to the point where your mind buys in the most efficient way possible, then speaking in the way that you would naturally speak and doing so in a way that suggests that you already have your manifestation, not the point of getting it, the point past it, the part where I've spoken about this in other videos, where the novelty of receiving your manifestation has worn off and it's just part of your everyday life now. That's how you want to be thinking about and talking about and visualizing and scripting about your manifestation. You can affirm in line with a knowing that it's going to happen. But in terms of law of assumption, what is usually most encouraged, particularly by Neville Goddard, even though I'm not a Neville Goddard devotee, a Nevilleite, or whatever they call them, it is encouraged to not think from the end as in the end of receiving, but a point past the end. When Neville Goddard talks about living from the end, it's a living past the point of receiving your manifestation, whatever that is, thing, person, situation. And how would your everyday life be once the novelty of that is worn off? I did a video recently on the Sabbath state. That is also a term coined by Neville Goddard in relation to manifestation. If you don't necessarily consider the Bible to be a manual for manifestation, which I do, and the Sabbath is in the Bible, I believe, but I'm also not someone who's read the Bible front to back or anything. I went to Catholic school, but so I did a video on the Sabbath state, what that means, how to get there the most efficient way, etc., which I'll put here, but I'll also put it on the end card at the end of the video because I want you to stick around to the end of this one, right? Now, in addition to speaking about your manifestation by affirming, which again are just focused thoughts, affirmations are just focused thoughts that you're choosing on purpose as opposed to your autopilot subconscious thoughts that run constantly, because it's estimated up to 90,000 thoughts a day, most of which are subconscious. Apart from what I've already mentioned, ways to help your mind buy into your new story, your new affirmations as efficiently and as easily and as enjoyably as possible is to integrate in my manifestation cheat codes. Now, If you're new to my channel, I'll quickly run through what those are and how I came about these cheat codes. What they are initially is nervous system regulation. When you're in a cool, calm, collected state and not running off anxiety, your mind is not going to fight you as much on the new thoughts. There's also a multitude of other ways all of these cheat codes help with the manifestation process. I've shared examples of people who, clients and followers who may have initially fought me on this because they've come from law of assumption teachers that strictly talk about the mindset piece, and then eventually got to a point where they were like, I'm struggling, I'm going to just try these. And then they've helped them out significantly. On my socials, there's bits and pieces that I've shared on there, testimonials and things like that, of people saying how much easier they've found they have been able to get into the state and trust their end goal is like happening and unfolding, et cetera, et cetera. So the second cheat code is self-concept work, but not how most coaches, at least from what I've heard, talk about self-concept. So yes, sure, I am affirmations are great, but they're not the whole piece. Self-concept is also how you treat yourself. How you treat yourself is how other people treat you. Everyone is you pushed out, right? And third is feel good things. So doing things that you enjoy that are unrelated to your manifestation. Again, all of these help in a multitude of ways, including helping your mind accept your new story, your new affirmations more easily, efficiently, and enjoyably. I won't go into the details of all the things that they do now. And to be honest, like every time I speak to a client or answer a question on a live stream on TikTok, which is linked below if you're interested in ever getting your questions answered for free. You can also comment and I can use those ideas to make videos as well. So feel free to do that in the comment section below. But I'm always seeing more and more ways that the cheat codes help. How did I come across the cheat codes? To keep it really brief, because I have gone into it in far more detail in other videos, I essentially followed the advice from law of assumption teachers that strictly talk about the mindset. Good, just affirm and persist. What that led to, and it took a while to get there. So I share these to help you preemptively not hit the walls that I did, but it led to burnout. It led to several years of having skin issues and food intolerances and things like that I had never had before, just extreme fatigue. And what came with that, which was like gradual anxiety to the point of not realizing that I was in a heightened state, which we all are to some degree, just because of the modern world that we live in. We haven't evolved as fast as technology and civilization. So notifications going up all the time and having access to information as easily as we do is like awesome in some ways, but to our detriment in other ways. It can really kick up that anxiety. Everyone should be doing nervous system regulation work. So my anxiety gradually got worse and worse until I didn't realize that I was in a constant state of it. And what happens when you're in a constant state of anxiety or fight or flight, high alert, is that you eventually crash. You eventually have no energy, you're fatigued. I felt like my legs were made of lead just walking around my apartment. I had to crawl up my stairs. I was so fatigued. You can go back to my older Instagram and TikTok videos if you want to see how bad my skin was. Even my earlier videos on here were slightly better quality because I used my phone at the time. I'm using a laptop at the moment. I will be getting a better microphone, and which I've forgotten to plug in today for that matter, and a camera to use soon. I'm kind of waiting for 1,000 subs. So again, definitely subscribe if any of this has been helpful. But I just got to the point where I had no choice. Like I didn't have the gas to affirm and persist anymore. That advice was all well and good, but I wasn't like, if you can do that, sweet. You may not need to do the cheat codes. But even then, a lot of you, from what I've seen in one-to-one coaching, on live streams and things like that, is that a lot of you are coming from that very anxious, for lack of a better word, desperate place. And I understand, I've been there. It's like, I don't like the word desperate, but it kind of describes the energy that's usually radiating from the screen. Most of you will get burnt out or unwell physically and or mentally before you get the thing that you want. Or even if you can just affirm, solely focusing on that and get the thing in, if you're still coming at it from that anxious place of like needing it, then when it comes in, you're going to self-sabotage it because you're still the version of you who fears losing it. There's still part of you that believes that you can't have it, it can't be, you either can't have it or you can't hold on to it, that there's something wrong with you on some level, that it might be easy for things to come in for you, but then you start to doubt or whatever it is. So the cheat codes really help with getting you, as Abraham Hicks would say, I've said this in other videos, get ready to be ready, so that when your manifestation does come in, you feel already very cool, calm, collected, neutral, as if the novelty of having it is already worn off. You're not getting that like excitement's not necessarily bad, but excitement and anxiety are two sides of the same coin. So if the thing that you manifest comes in and you get those butterflies, for example, or that excitement, that's actually anxiety in the body, but in line with what you're wanting. But we don't always want things that we actually need. We want things that make us feel a certain way. And I'm not saying that you can't have what you want, you can have whatever you want, but if you want it to last and not make your self-concept worse and worse over time because you have to keep trying to manifest it in because you can't sustain it, because your nervous system's out of whack and your story about yourself is still the same, and you don't have anything else going on in your life, aka feel good things to derive happiness from, all these different places you can derive happiness from that you put so much pressure on your manifestation to be your sole source of happiness, so that even when the tiniest little inkling of something seemingly goes wrong through the lens of not being in that cool, calm, collected state, you start to self-sabotage, you overreact to things that wouldn't bother you if you had other shit going on in your life that made you happy. So I always have to bring the cheat codes into the picture because to me, it's like, I'll share these with you now. So if you have found yourself burnt out like I did, that's how I pulled myself out of them, because I had no choice but to focus on myself. I wasn't doing them to manifest the thing. I just found when I focused on myself and did those things, implemented those things, it pulled me out of the low state that inevitably comes from your nervous system crashing after being in high alert for a prolonged period of time. That helped me out of it. And that also subsequently saw movement snowballing in the right direction after what felt like a really long period of stagnation with my manifestations, multiple manifestations. On top of all of that, they make everything to do with manifestation so much easier. When you are, again, cool, calm, collected, your mind is going to more easily accept the new thoughts that you're thinking because you feel safe when you're cool, calm, collected. Your body and your mind don't think you're under attack when you're anxious. That's what is going on in your physiology. You feel under attack, even if it's subconscious and you're not consciously aware of it, particularly if you are constantly in a high state of anxiety, high alert, fight or flight. So when you feel safe, your mind is like, oh, it's okay for me to think these new thoughts. You might still feel a bit of resistance because as far as your brain is concerned, whatever you've thought up till now has kept you alive because you are alive for that pure reason, right? Remember, primal, very primal brains. So why would you want to change the way you've thought about things if what you've thought so far has kept you alive? So you might still feel a bit of that resistance, but the cheat codes will certainly help with that. Speaking of cheat codes, I am currently working on the Solid Self-Concept course. There is a no obligation to buy waitlist in the description box below. Only those on the waitlist will receive a 50% off code when it's released. So even if it doesn't seem like something you'd be interested in now, if by the time it's released, which I don't have a date for as yet, because it's taking a lot longer than I fucking thought it would, you'll be kicking yourself by the time it comes out if you're not on the wait list, if you have to pay full price. Just saying. As always, thank you for being here. You're a fucking legend. Don't you ever forget it. And until next time, have a good one. Is to incorporate in my manifestation cheat codes. Is to call, oh,